You're listening to the Nerd to Know Media Network. Join us at nerdtoknowmedia.com.
Broadcasting from the Blanchistan Center, this is Phoenix FM.
The internet is a communications tool used the world over where people can come together to bitch about movies.
According to the Nerd Index, you should be upside down in a junior high toilet around the clock.
This is We'll do it live! Time goes in, time goes out. Never miscommunication.
It's over 9,000! My name is Foxy.
The balls are in there. Do a barrel roll. Don't face me, bro. It's a trap. I'm a firing believer. Time to Hey, Charlie, wake up! Oh, God, oh, man.
Hello, and welcome back to the Nerd to Know Basis show on Phoenix 92.5 FM or on Spotify if you're listening later. I am the host for this week, Mannequin Blue, and with me are...
Cian, woo!
Dara, ahoy!
So how is everyone this week?
That was way harder than I expected it to be.
I mean, you heard the woo, Katie. That's a good statement of intent, energy wise.
That was pretty enthusiastic, yeah.
No, I was just like, wait, Cian's never first, and then
yeah, you didn't actually know my name.
That guy over there.
That's okay. It's still not as bad as Cian forgetting I was at his wedding.
That's amazing, actually.
No, it's better than that. I forgot you organized the wedding.
I forgot I was the maid of
capacity
honor.
of head bridesmaid.
It was a long day for Cian.
You did animal.
He also
balloon
forgot I'm not
puppetry.
tall.
like what I remember about Cian's wedding is it was grand until I tried to go. No, Cian's wedding was fine. His stag party, I don't remember how I went home.
None of us do.
None of us do.
That's because Katie got you drunk. None of this is relevant.
Excuse you. Dara got me
relevant.
drunk.
That's true. I got her drunk.
I think we enabled each other.
We didn't know what happened was I arrived late and you were drinking. I had to catch up, and then we did competition where we tried to outdrink each other. That was a problem, and that's how we ended up both being drunk.
Neither of these two were in the groom's party, by the way. They just
No,
turned up.
no, this is true.
No, I was just like, you know what? No, I am going to the stag party. I do not care.
Yeah, actually, it's funny. I mean, we won't dwell on this because it's like, personal stuff. But my wife did say to me 2 days ago, do you remember when my head bridesmaid missed most of my hen day because she was hungover from attending your stag?
To be fair, I will say one thing. Not to give too much away, but in Token is where it was, and the cocktails there are amazing. But and again, we're not sponsored by Token, obviously. But hey, if you want it, you can. What was it? The rum.
Oh
cocktail?
yeah, the 69ers.
The 69ers. Oh my god, they're strong.
They're
strong
potent. They are potent.
I had one recently, and I was like, whoa, there we go. So be warned. There's a reason why they only serve like 2 per person, because they get you way quicker than you think they would.
Oh yeah, it's good stuff.
I went there to play video games. I don't know what these two are
actually
talking about.
Question: did we play any video games, Alex? I don't remember.
I definitely did not.
I did
Okay.
the pinball machines and like Time Crisis and all that kind of stuff. And every now and again, I'd wander back to you, and you'd both be like, "Hey, her, I love her. Hey, him, I love him." And then I'd like come back in 10 minutes to be sober. I'd come back 10 minutes again. You're back to being drunk. It was like the night was on shuffle.
I do vaguely remember Cian coming over at one point with like a massive bag full of tokens, and he was like, "Do you guys want to play any games?" And I was just like, if I try to stand up out of this chair, I will literally fall over.
I don't remember any of that. I just remember like trays of 69ers being brought in, which I still don't know how we got away with, generally. But yeah, folks, it's a good time. Cian, thank you for inviting us.
I didn't.
And I think we still had a great night. So
Actually, I think I invited myself and Dara.
fair, because I don't remember any of it. So
I just messaged Cian and I was like, Cian, I'm going to your stag. And he was like, yeah, okay, cool.
Well, speaking of drunken nights that are hard to remember, did either of you watch the Eurovision last weekend?
God, no.
I did not, no.
Why not? It's the best night of the year.
No, that's not true.
Name a better one.
You what?
And any other night.
Any other night. I mean, a colostomy, colonoscopy rather.
Yeah, I don't know what that first thing was.
Being in the hospital after getting hit by a car.
What is wrong? Eurovision's fantastic.
No, what's it? What's better?
Where else will you find like 30 odd countries all getting together to sing cha 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 to a demon lizard man dancing like a CBeebies presenter? You can't.
I mean, I went to a couple of Dublin gay theatre festival events in the last couple of weeks, and that's pretty much.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I'm like, you can get that in like Lost Lane some nights if you really want it.
Yeah, but not with 30 odd countries and like a big stadium and all that kind of stuff.
I don't know, like Dublin's fairly multicultural.
That's true.
Yeah, but you'd have to like work really, like it's on the TV, like, and,
yeah,
like,
but
you can vote and stuff.
I know, but like the Late Late Show was on the TV, and I never watched that either. So I mean,
come on!
I have literally had my artwork on the Late Late Show, and I never watched the Late Late Show.
Funny story. The first time I ever drank was on the Late Late Show. Not the Late Late Show. The packet. What was it? The Ray Darcy show.
You were on the Ray Darcy show?
Yeah. I was an extra. So again, folks, this is great content. But I was on.
I'm trying to talk about Eurovision. I don't know what you're doing.
Used to work as an extra, obviously, and as we've gone into before. But they're like, here, who wants to be on the Ray Darcy show? I'm like, okay, whatever. And there was some guy, I don't know who it is. So some guy had a cookbook, and there were cocktails there, and he had me one, and like it's actually on. You can see it. I think I have it somewhere. And he gives me like a whiskey cocktail, and I didn't drink, and I just left it there. And he goes, "Your man who owned the book was like, you should drink that." I'm like, "No." And he goes, "No, drink it." I'm like, "Okay." So I drank it, and I was locked. So when I'm walking off, you can see me just properly drunk, like it's funny. So there you go.
Okay,
that's a true story.
You may have one-upped me. My only kind of televisual claim to fame is that I was on the TV3 knockoff of the Late Late Toy Show.
Oh my God. Is that a thing?
Yeah, it still is a thing every year. No one knows, which is why you'll never find footage.
Why would somebody do that?
I got to review pretty decent books. I reviewed the Pokemon book of the like original 150 Pokemon, essentially the book of the Pokedex.
How old were you?
The year Pokemon came out, so that's not a bad grab.
Okay, right, so this wasn't recently. This was like
no.
This is what I'm saying. I was like, what are you doing? Just
it was like last week.
It was last week.
And the other book you'll appreciate this start was the big graphic like encyclopedia of Star Wars: The Phantom Menace.
Oh,
you know those
cool.
like big hardback books that come out for every single Star Wars movie.
Yes.
So like, yeah, good times. Not a lot of money, but good times.
You got paid?
No, I mean in the set, in the production, like.
Oh, okay. I was like, wait, I didn't get, but I did get a golden envelope that had like lots of free things in Waterford. So.
Oh, you did better than me then.
Yeah, I mean, as I said,
I got to keep the books, I guess.
Did you?
Like I did that thing that they always do in the Late Late Toy Show where you like ride the vehicles like on the camera, except
again,
it was
King,
like.
I wish this was like last week.
I mean,
it makes so much better.
This is an audio medium. If you want to imagine it that way, you help yourself. but no, it was in like instead of a Late Late Toy Show thing where it's big under like big studio spotlights, it was just in like a little cramped hallway, and I didn't even get to keep the little digger thing.
Oh, that's so
not
sad.
The digger.
That's so depressing.
I mean, look, maybe it's great, but my memories are tinged. It was 2.5 decades ago.
Or last week.
But you got me off topic. Eurovision. Anyway.
Eurovision.
So basically, in case you didn't know, it was actually a really, really good night because usually like in a Eurovision, there's like 3 songs that are memorable because they're doing something weird. Everyone was pretty decent this year, and everyone was decent in a different way. But like there was a bit of controversy because Sweden won. But
Actually, hold on. Question, right?
Yeah.
So this was brought up at a comedy show I was at.
Right.
Sweden won.
Yeah.
Something happened in Finland on the plane. What happened in Finland on the plane?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh my God, Cian.
I watched the thing. I didn't like make it.
Okay, because I mean that was like, oh wait, you'll probably know. Okay, right. You tell me the controversy and it might overlap. Go on, go.
Okay, I doubt it, frankly, but no, it was basically a case that like I'm gonna briefly touch on a lot of the songs because they were all really good, but basically you have the judges vote and you have the audience like text in vote, and I would say relatively overwhelmingly, Finland got the most popular votes with their song Cha Cha Cha, which is amazing. But when you added in the judges' votes, Sweden won. And like as the night wore on and it became clear that Sweden would win, the crowd started just singing the song in a stadium while they were trying to do their voting things. And the longer it went on, the more it became clear that people would be very upset if Finland didn't win and they didn't. So only kind of mild controversy, but like it's like basically Sweden won 583 points and Finland got 526. But in the public vote, Finland got 376 votes and Sweden got 243. So no, don't get me wrong. The Sweden song is great and deserves to win, but it's a substantial difference in the way the points were totted up in terms of that. So yeah, I'd say some people went home a bit unhappy about that, even though the Sweden song was pretty decent. Like, you know.
Okay, so I have an update on this.
What was your thing you wanted to say?
So no, it's not what I want to say, but I just have an update on this. So apparently, there's an airline who's using that controversy. So it does overlap.
Oh, okay, it does, right?
Yeah, it does overlap. Yeah, see, it's almost like we planned this out, folks. We planned this. We didn't plan this out at all. We never do.
He isn't letting me talk.
Genuinely.
Go on, please tell me your story.
Around.
So there's an airline apparently, and it's using this. So it's called Vierlo. So apologies. Vueling.
Right.
Vueling has customized one of its Airbus aircrafts with an image of a vinyl record and music motif, and apparently it's going into this. They want your vote for like to be the best sun destination or something like that.
Right.
So they're getting in on this. I mean, it seems like a lot of work, but
I don't know, but sure, like I can see why they are. It was actually because it was a really good year, maybe because we were kind of talking about wrestling comparisons in the WhatsApp chat before we started recording. And this was a year which had a lot of great characters.
Yeah.
Like, you know, in each of the countries, like, you know, like I'm bringing up a list now. Like Belgium had like a really like camp disco singer dressed like in a big white hat. Ukraine had these like intense rappers. Like my favorite who did really badly, Serbia, was like anime inspired robot like trance songs. Like, you know, Moldova are always like, you know, it felt like there was no one who just came on and sang a song. Like obviously gimmicks are a part of it, but it did feel like everyone who came up was really, really good and had like a powerful song and a powerful like character to go with it. And you know what? That does make a difference because like it's kind of heartbreaking when you watch a good Eurovision where there's like 20 songs you really like, because inevitably something you like will become 24th or something. Germany came dead last with UK second last, which I don't think those songs are bad, but like they just suffered from being in a really good Eurovision year. I'd say the same happened to Ireland, actually. Our song was pretty decent, but we were in the first of the semis that had the likes of Sweden and Israel and all these like ones that came in the top 10. So I think we kind of got stuck just in that respect. But yeah, I would honestly recommend just having a Google. Like, oh, I didn't even mention Austria, the song about Edgar Allan Poe. There's a song about Edgar Allan Poe, and it's like a disco like thing. It's like every single trick was pulled to make this one memorable. Like, you know. So honestly, I would, if ever there was a year just to randomly look at the songs and nothing else, I would say it's this one. I really, really enjoyed this Eurovision.
So the last time I watched the Eurovision
I
was in Greece for the first time, and you know it was like 2008, maybe, and we only had like, so I don't know. You guys have traveled to like the continent, haven't you?
No, I haven't gone much further than like France or Spain or the Canaries.
Oh, that's enough. That's enough.
That's the continent,
That's the
Cian.
continent, King.
I know, but it's on the fringes. It's not like
It's
far-
not. It's literally
if
on the
you've
continent.
access to a boat at all times. It's not far in.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. But still, you know when you're watching TV there and there's like no good channels.
Yeah.
And there's nothing you can watch. So we were kind of in that, and the closer you get to like the Middle East, the more of a problem that becomes, in the sense that like when you're in England, it's like the same. When you're in France, you get some of the same. But the further you go past Italy, towards Turkey, the channels get a bit more obscure, if that makes sense. You're just like, I have no idea what's going on. I have no reference.
Now, are you just talking in terms of language barrier or in terms of
in
content,
general?
or-
Like, you have no idea what's going on. You have no
Right.
point of reference. You might get like a CNN. You might get like a CNBC. You might get something that you're like, okay, I can watch that, right? So,
right.
like that's been my experience, and particularly when as someone that goes to Greece a lot, that kind of happens. Or someone that goes to Italy. Italy's kind of a weird point as well, because like a lot of channels are different. But anyway, so we were stuck, and we're like, there's literally nothing to watch except the Eurovision. And it was this beat up portable television that was like really, really bad. However, the Eurovision was there. I was like, right, we can watch the Eurovision, as you said, Keen, because it has no language barrier, it has no cultural barrier. It's literally just the Eurovision. It's a weird camp thing that people like for some reason. So we were watching it, and we're like, okay. And I was like, this is the worst thing ever. Please kill me. And then Dustin the Turkey came out, and it was amazing.
You must have watched the semi-final then, because he didn't get into the final that year.
As I said, Ken, I don't know. I had the Eurovision thing. Dustin came out. I was like, this is what the Eurovision should be. That was it. I've never watched it again.
You picked a bad year now, I will say. I'm looking at
I
these
had
songs.
Dustin the Turkey coming out, and it was amazing.
Yeah, but actually, something I noticed was when basically Dustin had to go through an audition process on RGE, if you can believe that. They've
Really?
given up doing it now, but back in the day, they would you'd vote on the Irish song. And Dustin sang Irlande Níl which means no points, in the audition, and it was hilarious. And then in the Eurovision, he sang Irlande Dús Pois, which completely sinks the joke. But I will say something interesting looking at the results of the Eurovision you sort of watched. The first place that year was Russia, and the second place was Ukraine. So, and Russia aren't even in it anymore. So that's a sign of how much times have changed even since you watched it. But I kind of like that element to the Eurovision. It is silly, but you do get loads of the nations of the world in a room, and stuff does kind of happen, in the way they kind of interact and all that. There is that political element to it, but that's part of why it was created, to get people in a room and ideally stop going to war,
I'd much rather the war.
Jesus.
Honestly, I
was tiptoeing around what I was saying, and you just drove us off a cliff.
On a 5, we're on a 5.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just saying, it's like you're looking back at history and you're like, World War II, that was bad. But a yearly Eurovision, geez, that's a lot worse.
Now, maybe this will pique your curiosity. The Ukrainian song that came second that year is called Shady Lady. Oh, that's disappointing. I thought it was called Shark Lady. I need glasses.
Shark Lady.
Shark Lady.
I'd love to. Shark.
Look, it's
Here's our song.
Eurovision.
Shark
Anything's
Lady.
possible.
Wasn't there a song Baby Shark?
Yes.
Not in the Eurovision.
Was that not the Eurovision?
It probably has been at some point, but it didn't start in the Eurovision.
Okay.
It haunted the internet and now haunts my house.
Oh, oh man.
But
I
you
just-
know what?
You know, okay.
Let's go on then.
I don't know, Keen. I admire. This is one thing I really admire about you. I admire your ability to just see the best in everything.
I genuinely, unironically like the Eurovision.
And there's nothing wrong with that. Well, there is, but not for you.
You're a musician, right?
Yeah, and this is why I hate the Eurovision, because I'm like, I don't know. It's just very silly.
Yeah, but where else will you get life and the world is so miserable and stark at the moment. Where else will you get all of these self-important nations getting together to let two women sing about how much they like Edgar Allan Poe to a audience of several million? It wouldn't happen. I'm so glad we still have it, you know?
I mean, maybe not the whole audience of several million thing, but like you could get that, the rest of what you described, like anywhere.
That's true.
Any theater, anywhere.
That's true. I mean, look, if we left now and went into Dublin, we'd find someone doing that. Somewhere.
Yeah, but it's not just the entertainment. It is the world coming together aspect of it. You know, that is what Eurovision was sort of made for, you know? I don't think you can separate that from the entertainment aspect, you know?
See, I don't find it entertaining, period. So, I mean, it's more just kind of like, I don't know. As I said, at least with World War II, it was only there for like, 5 years? And then it went away. How long is the Eurovision going on for?
Too long?
Yeah, too long. See, that's the thing,
Well,
man.
Well, actually, this is part of the controversy, which is that Sweden won, and it just so happens that next year is the 50th anniversary of ABBA winning.
See, ABBA are cool. That's the thing. ABBA are amazing.
Yeah, I'm glad you're here. If Kev was here, he'd help me out with the ABBA defense.
No, there is no defense to ABBA. ABBA's unreal. Like, ABBA's
ABBA are awesome.
Amazing. You know? But like, so you have like, for me, from an outsider looking in, Katie, and you're probably on this boat as well. From an outsider looking in, I'm like, and I only look at it purely from a musical standpoint. I don't really care about politics because, you know, that's gross.
I'm not saying it's all politics. I'm just saying that it's a layer to it, you know.
I know, but I mean, for me, that too many things are political in general, and it's just kind of like, can the best song win? But anyway, and I think there has just been points where that has happened, and ABBA is like one of them where it's like, yeah, there's no way ABBA weren't winning. You know, there's no way. And it's like, but then you have like Dana winning. And no disrespect. No, okay, disrespected Anna. All kinds of everything is a terrible song. Sorry, you need a life woman. And it's just like, yeah.
There's that sponsorship gone
with Dana. Sorry.
I mean, you never know.
What's she going to sponsor you
with the show?
Yeah, what's she selling though?
She'll send us to Eurovision.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Maybe Marty Whelan wants to retire someday, and I want to be the wisecracking person.
You'd be great at that.
That's another winning ingredient, actually. Graham Norton doing the commentary on the BBC is half the entertainment because it's almost like a let's play. He just slags it as it goes along.
Yeah,
He's a little bit better behaved this year because they were hosting it.
Right.
But usually, like, you know, like if you go to YouTube, the first thing that'll come up will be a compilation of him just slagging the acts over and over again. So that badness is an ingredient in the enjoyment of the Eurovision, you know?
The question I have, I suppose, with Ireland is like, why do they always have some flute with a guitar? What? Or even, okay, Jedward. Jedward are like the perfect act because they're incredibly annoying, but they're incredibly marketable.
Jedward were great. To be honest, I much to my disgrace voiced this in some like Facebook comments on various articles and stuff. I think we just don't try to stage it, and like it or love it, Eurovision is 50% staging, if not more than 50%.
It's a huge amount of money that has to be spent.
So what you guys are saying is that offhand joke in Father Ted is actually the case.
Oh, it's very much true.
Where you purposely
my
try
family
not to win it.
works in the Eurovision and in RTE, and it's Now,
See, that makes sense.
Wrong. If we had to like decide to win, I don't think we could. But I also don't think
we try
that there is like a huge incentive to put loads of money into winning. Like, I mean, look, all the Irish acts, with the exception of Dustin, have and Jedward. I will have to give it to Jedward. I mean, that they're the most Eurovision act ever, right? And I have no problem with that. But it's just like some lad with a terrible song with a terrible guitar. No, I'm like, now I will stand up for most of the Irish songs though, but I just think that the staging itself is lazy. Like you mentioned Jedward, which is actually a great callback to make because the year they did it, they had a giant, massive like stadium thing. They had like huge 20-foot versions of themselves dancing behind all that kind of stuff.
They did it 2 years.
What?
Did they?
2 years.
They did 2 years in a row. The first year they did Lipstick, which was amazing.
Yeah, it was a good song.
And the second year they did Waterline, I think it was called, which was completely forgettable.
Very much so, but they were fun. I think with Lipstick we came 8th. With Waterline we came like 20th. So still respectable in the final. The last time we got through to the final was, again, and this is going to come down to staging, there was a lovely acoustic guitar song in the year the gay marriage thing passed in Ireland, and it was just very simple staging. It was made to look like the River Liffey. There were just two men doing a kind of a ballet dance together, but that's staging. Do you know what we had for staging this year? The band were great. There was a bridge, and they did not go on it.
Why did he always
static
go
bridge and nothing on the big TV screen?
But why do they always go for some guy with a guitar? It's an acoustic.
But the band was good.
I know, but it's so annoying. It's like, listen, someone breaks out a guitar at any point, unless they're actually performing, that's how you ruin a night. You know, so you're at a house party and some guy's like, oh, I can play guitar, and you're like, cool, man, please don't. And then they pick up a song and you're like, oh.
Again, you're a musician.
Yeah, but you know what you'll never see me do? Pick up a guitar unadvised. I play when I'm asked and, when assigned. And other than that, I don't enforce it on people. And it's always some guy with an acoustic guitar who's out of tune and he just,
Anyway, here's Wonderwall.
Yes! Yeah, literally. And it just seems like we've internalized that as a nation where it's like, that's the best we can do.
But jokes about that. Like was Animal House where he like smashes the guitar? Like that's been around for a while now.
It has, but we've internalized it as our gift to Eurovision.
Yeah, I will say like the people who've been submitted have been fairly unimaginative. I will personally take that over when they submit like people doing the trad drums.
That's the other part.
And the two Irish dancers who are good, but just like it's a huge, massive stage and they look like they're icebergs in the sea. Like,
that's another thing as well. Listen, I understand that to most of the world, Ireland is leprechauns and dancing. It's like, yeah, that's great. But it's like...
Yeah, but the Eurovision is the one space where we're not that. Until Sweden won last week, we were like the all-time champions. We were the only ones who won 7.
Yeah.
Now Sweden's won 7, but like Eurovision's the one space where we could not be that, and it was fine.
But we have gone back to it.
Yeah, that's like you're
with
exactly
a vengeance.
Right. Yeah,
with a vengeance.
Yeah.
But no, it makes sense. It's like if you are right and it costs too much to stage, they're probably like, just throw whatever we have, and they go to the RT.
It costs too much to stage. I just think it needs imagination. Like. One of the acts they had on was literally, I'm going to bring up the country now because, they deserve to be celebrated. Like, one of the acts was literally just a woman sat on a slope. Amazing. And the slope happened to be incorporated into the staging. So the TV thing kind of ran through it. Like, now, obviously, I'm not like a skilled technician or anything, but it doesn't seem like it takes a huge amount of money or technical competency to put a slope on a stage. But it looked really good because of the way they lit it and everything, So I think it's more of a lack of imagination than it is of money, I'm
just going to put this out here. Cian should organise Ireland's entry next year.
Yeah, give me a call.
Genuinely. Or even host it. I mean, I wasn't joking, Cian. You'd be great at hosting that.
Oh, thank you.
You would. Like, look at that really enthusiastic, joyful guy killing it. Because if I had to host it, I'd be like, I need another drink.
We could host it together. I could be happy and you could die.
Together.
I mean, we could just do the whole Nerd to Know crew hosting it.
Oh my God, that'd be amazing.
Down for that.
Yeah, that'd be amazing.
I would totally be down for that.
We have to sell tickets though.
Party.
We have to sell tickets though. That's the thing. So we don't have to buy drinks. Because I'm gonna
need
a lot of
RTE,
drinks.
let us host the Eurovision.
Be amazing. Just be like, I need a lot of rum. And yeah, there we go. Do it in token so we can get those cocktails.
Oh yeah.
You wouldn't hear anything over the sound of token.
That's true.
Disaster waiting to happen. I am in.
I think it was, I could be wrong. I apologize. I think it was Armenia who had the slope. Yeah, so sorry. I didn't mean for the entire episode to be Eurovision, but I'm incredibly grateful that it was. But since we're on the topic of like music that Dara likes, I feel like we should turn to a movie that had a lot of good music in it.
Oh, look at this pro. Look at this pro.
Look at that segue.
Look at that segue.
Yeah. Thank you. Well then, Guardians of the Galaxy 3. I saw it once. You saw it twice, Dara. Katie, have you seen it?
I have not.
Katie has
Right.
seen
Well, then
enough
before
times.
we even get into
Enough
it, because I had the pleasure of going in completely blind to this, even though I was out 2 weeks late to it. Like, Dara, how much plot stuff are we going to say? Or should we just go for atmosphere? Like,
No, I mean, the thing about it is, what happens in the movie doesn't really matter. And what I mean by
that's a
that
good
is,
way of putting it. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
what I mean is like, we're going to describe it. You have to kind of go see it, because I mean, the important, the important thing about this movie, and I will say it off the bat, it's good, it's very good,
Yeah.
and it's a movie that actually deserves to exist. A lot of the Marvel stuff really doesn't. It's not just a product. So everything we're going to say, we're not spoiling anything. It's a completely self-contained movie.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
it deserves to be seen or waited to be seen on Disney Plus.
yeah,
Like,
I mean,
you know.
look, if you're a fan of Guardians of the Galaxy, go see it. You'll have a great. Well, I do want to give a bit of a warning. To be
Yeah,
honest
well,
with you.
no, I'll do a very broad, like nothing past the first 15 minutes type.
No, I don't think that's fair, because like we'll go into it. We will go into it, but what I'm saying is, like, no matter what we see at this point on, go see it, because we
Yeah.
won't ruin it for you.
Yeah. No, because I went in with relatively low expectations, even though I love the Guardians. Actually, I love Guardians 2 much more than Guardians 1, which is a very unpopular take. But yeah, no, I went in with relatively low expectations because I'd heard nothing about it, which was strange for like the biggest thing in Marvel, essentially. But yeah, no, I really, really enjoyed it too. I was a bit nervous because we hadn't seen the Guardians since Endgame. And obviously the Christmas holiday special thing was really good. But I wasn't quite sure what it was going to be because it had been so long since a Guardians film in the proper sense. But no, it was really, really good. I love what they that like the second one. It's all about the characters. Like you said, the plot doesn't hugely matter. It's a good plot for its characters, but it's not like and then this happens and this happens and this happens. It's very, very simple in the best way possible, and that gives lots of space for comedy and character work. And obviously, the music is gorgeous. I suppose the first 5 minutes, I'll say. Basically, it's the story of Rocket Raccoon kind of getting injured early on, and all the Guardians, who are all miserable after everything, Gamora related and otherwise, now have to band together to go on a quest to save him, because the only way they can save him is by going to his creator. And this is intercut. And even though Rocket is in a coma for a lot of the movie, it's intercut with flashbacks about how he was created. So yeah, I mean, like, kind of like, what would you want to add to that, Dara, from like just the basic stuff I've said there?
You're gonna cry.
Yes.
And the reason why is not because it's emotional. I mean, I've seen this a lot where people are like, oh, the animal abuse. I mean, one, they're not real animals. It's not real. It's a movie. They don't actually hurt the animals, thank God. But it's an emotional gut punch where, like, I don't particularly like seeing animals getting hurt at all.
It's a theme. Yeah.
It's
a very deliberate theme
it is, and
of the film.
and it's very upsetting. I mean, it really is. But it's supposed to be. He's the villain. Okay, so the villain is the high
evolutionary,
right? So the high evolutionary, I want to get into that because that's someone I forgot existed in the Marvel universe. But anyway, so basically his whole thing is he sees himself as better than God because he's like, I'm just going to perfect creation, right? So like when you see what happens to Rocket, it's actually devastating. And just hurting animals in general is just it's always uncomfortable. But to see it like that, one, I don't think anyone was expecting it. But I will defend it in such a sense. One, they're not real animals. Two, it gives you it is upsetting. You do cry. And three, the satisfaction of him being beaten is obviously that's the payoff. That's the whole point, right? So it makes sense. But I will just give a bit of a warning that it's very full tilt. And raccoons are cute. And
no, you're right to
is
bring it
awful.
up because I nearly brought my 4-year-old to see
Don't.
it.
Oh my God, don't. That's
just by some fluke of circumstance, I ended up going by myself. And I'm glad I did, because like upset it now. Don't get me wrong, it's not like a Tarantino film. Like, it's still like just about in that 12s bracket. But like basically it reminded me of Watership Down in that respect.
Yes,
that
that's
like
actually
it
that's
makes
actually
you
very good.
care about
Yeah,
Rocket
that's very
and
good.
his friends in the kind of flashbacks.
Yeah.
And scars
And
you for life
you're-
as a child.
Yes. Well, there you go then. And you're just sort of waiting for half the film in those flashbacks for the penny to drop and go, all right, what's going to happen to them? What's going to happen to them? What's going to happen to them? And you're actually right to kind of single out the High Evolutionary, who I've got the actor's name here, 1 second, is from Peacemaker. I hope I pronounced this right. Chukwudi Iwuji, because like in all the Guardians films I've noticed, James Gunn has taken really like D-list Marvel villains and made them really compelling. And I really like that about him. Like, and the same kind of extends to Adam Warlock in this one as well, who's completely different, like, you know, from his comic book like appearance.
So,
like, you know.
So, look, the movie's great, right?
Yeah.
And it is. Katie, you'd like it. Go see it.
Just tell me one thing.
Go on.
Is Adam Warlock played by Will Poulter?
Is that the one with the punchable face? Yes.
He's the eyebrows kid.
Yeah.
Oh, I love him.
Yeah. Wait,
I
hold on.
love him. I'm there.
Hold on. No, wait. The Star Wars guy's the punchable face.
No,
The eyebrows
he's not the guy from your video game.
No, I like.
No, he's the eyebrows kid.
I like the eyebrows.
No,
kid,
he's from like We're the Millers. Like,
yeah,
you know.
no, that's very good. And I would mind that's a very good part. But I did want to say one thing. How is your knowledge of either one? How is your knowledge of the post animated MCU, or not MCU, but like animated Marvel Universe?
How do you mean?
So in Spider-Man,
oh, you're talking about the 90s?
I'm talking about the 90s.
Oh,
so there was Spider-Man the animated series, right? Do you?
Yeah.
guys
I
remember-
never saw it.
Oh, okay. Katie, did you see the show that happened after Spider-Man finished, where he goes to space?
No.
Okay, strap in. Because the whole time, so I went to go see this twice, right? And the first time I was like, Jesus, that's really familiar. Why is what they're saying very familiar? Why do the people? Because they go to Counter Earth, right? And basically it's like humanoid kangaroos and stuff, right? And I'm like, why does that look so familiar? And then I'm like, oh my God, Counter Earth is where Spider-Man went with the weird animals. And the bad guy is the High Evolutionary. And I'm like, wow, James Gunn literally took the plot of Spider-Man Unlimited, I think it's called, which wasn't a great show. It's okay, but it never had it never wrapped up because it got cancelled because nobody watched it. And yeah, I was just like, oh, that's why, because in the back recesses of my brain as a kid, I've already seen this.
Right.
So that's what it was. So fair play to James Gunn for digging that out. But I will say the music was great. It's also it's the second. So I went to go see Mario begrudgingly, because Sonic Sega should have won. And also then a week later, actually in the same screen, I saw Guardians of the Galaxy, and it was the second movie with Chris Pratt and No Sleep to Brooklyn playing in it. I'm like,
oh yeah,
so bizarre. So bizarre.
Did they just get like a group deal or something?
I think so.
Like a bundle.
But the thing about it is like it makes less sense in Mario because it's like, oh, they're not in. Well, they're in
I said that on the podcast. I think I did not like it when pop songs played in the Mario film because I hated it when Jack Black starts singing because it makes me sick every time. See, I like that because at least it's an original song. When like Take On Me starts playing in like Donkey Kong Land, you're like, what has this got to do with anything?
I don't really mind. I didn't mind that too much, but I do get your point.
I know, but it feels more like it belongs to a Minions film.
Yeah, but that's who made it.
It makes sense because the characters like music.
Yeah, but
it was made by the same studio.
Yeah, but that's what I'm getting at. It took me out of the film, like you know, emotionally. But sorry, what were you saying there?
But what I will say is, one, that's a great song, and the Beastie Boys are like very good. But when it was done in Guardians, damn, it was brilliant.
Yeah,
it's brilliant because Katie, and for anyone listening, basically near the end of the movie, Rocket decides, I'm not going to run away anymore, and all the Guardians go back to fight basically an army by themselves. And it's but they have the advantage because one, they're the protagonists, and two, they're basically in a hallway, so they're able to fight them as they come, and it's No Sleep to Brooklyn, and it's just brilliant. I mean, it's one of the small little bits of this movie that I hope don't get lost in the noise, because it's
yeah, but actually, I'm glad you brought that up, because one, actually, in terms of action, this film's fairly restrained, which makes a moment like that very satisfying.
Yeah.
But the other thing I was going to say that you kind of alluded to was the soundtrack isn't all 70s and 80s this time.
Yeah.
It's quite 90s and 2000s, which I'm not sure if this is intentional, but it made me feel like, okay, the Guardians have grown up, their tastes are changing, they've caught up to our modern music.
Yeah, which is true, which is what happened. And then
and because it's the last Guardians, you're like, look at them, they've all grown up now. We can leave this Marvel thing behind and enjoy
there they
that
are
it's
there
over,
now.
you know.
There they are now, all the lads.
Yes.
A great bunch of lads.
I'm glad you said that, because there isn't like a post-credits thing as such, but the last thing at the end of the credits is like all the 7 or 8 Guardians all in a line together. And yeah, it's totally, there they are now, all the lads.
I did appreciate that, because I only saw the Christmas thing recently.
Yeah.
And it plays a surprisingly large part of the movie.
It does, yeah.
It's strange, because it's like, wow, it's the most throwaway thing ever, but it's not. And I'm kind of like, okay, you know what? We talk about, like, everyone talks about superhero fatigue or whatever. And it's like, the genre itself isn't the problem. The problem is that nobody wants to make. Okay, I was at someone said I was at the Modern Art Museum on Saturday.
I'm so interested to see where this is going now. What's happening?
Yeah. So, and I walked in to an exhibit. That was an IKEA furniture. Now, it wasn't, but it looked like someone had just opened an IKEA furniture and left it there, like not made. And I'm like, this is not art. So in the very sense, and look, if you're offended by that, I'm really sorry, but it's not. It's just not. And then in another room, they had like a black square. Also not art. That's badly painting. That's badly decorating. So my point there is, one, I love good modern art with a story, like Duchamp or anything from Dadaism or Expressionism, but that stuff is not. That's garbage, right? But the point is, in very much the same way as that is a genre of art, like superheroes is a genre of movies, which are also art, there's good art and there's unmade IKEA furniture. And I think what Disney has given us is a lot of unmade IKEA furniture. So when something actually comes along that's like, whoa, this is great, it takes people kind of a moment to readjust, because there were 1 or 2 good pieces in the Modern Art Museum. And like in Paris, they have an incredible Modern Art Museum with like Jasper Johns and, you know, Justin Pollock and all that kind of stuff. And you're like, wow, that's great. So I think we're so used to the steady stream of sewerage that when we actually get something that is good, it takes you a moment. But this is generally one of those moments. And yes, so ladies and gentlemen, I hate modern art that's bad.
You're right, though, because, like, I mean, Quantumania went up on Disney Plus today. And, like, don't get me wrong, it's fine. It's fine.
It's fine.
But, like, there should be no excuse for James Gunn making the High Evolutionary incredibly exciting, while Kang is sort of like, all right, it's fine.
It's fun. Yeah,
it goes a long way to showing that it's not the character, it's what you do with it. Like I would go back to the whole reason why. Because remember, there was a time when nobody knew who Iron Man was. Exactly. Yes, that's what I was going to allude to. You're right.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, fine. Please, you say it better than me. Go on.
And I was just going to say that, like, yeah, I mean, people forget that, like, before the MCU, superheroes were terrible. The movies were really bad. The comics were in a lot of trouble, and you know, everyone knew Spider-Man, they knew Batman, they knew Superman, some knew Wonder Woman, but that was it. And maybe the Hulk and some of the X-Men. But when Iron Man came out, like, nobody knew. Like, I mean, I knew Iron Man. You know, nerds knew who Iron Man was, but even then, he wasn't really seen as like an important character to an extent. He wasn't like a leader. It was always Captain America, or it was always, you know, someone else. And when that movie came out, it changed everything, because you're like, whoa, you can actually tell a good story. And the lessons that can be learned from this is, like, look at Peacemaker. Like, come on.
Well, actually, I'm glad you brought that up, because
I just want to finish the one point.
Go on, sorry, go on.
In everything, the movie needs to be about the story, it needs to be about the characters, or else it's just stuff happening. And like Star Wars, you know, we've talked about it, I've done panel about it. It's stuff happening without any reason or logic. Guardians is a story about trying to save their friend, but coming from a place that makes sense.
Yeah.
And a lot of characters, as you said very succinctly, growing up, and then also like there's one or two parts in that movie where, you know, they're going into Counter Earth, and it has like Fate No More's We Care a Lot, which is a great track, by the way, playing, and you're like, whoa, proper cinematic, you know, shots. They're actually shooting a movie, not just on a screen. That is just sewers, you know. It's not half made IKEA furniture by some 22-year-old art student that is like, oh, I want funding. It's actually a good movie, you know. It's not just gratuitous.
Yes.
And that's what I appreciate it. Again, I hate bad modern art.
I've got a stage play to recommend to you in a minute, but I'll finish up this point, which is that yeah, I get what you mean. I think a shift as well, because we were talking about this 90s Super Mario movie in my last episode.
Oh wow.
And a big shift with, like, when you compare that to Super Mario, or even just the two Suicide Squad films of recently.
Yes, that's a good comparison too, actually.
There you go, exactly. But like back in the 2000s when Spider-Man and X-Men were big, and there was just lots of other random superhero things, like I think there was a mentality of like, okay, we're going to take the popular visual of the character, but we're just going to put our own Hollywood beats onto it, and whatever we change is fine. Yeah. We're making a movie first and a Super Mario thing second. I think that Marvel and Iron Man have completely changed that now. I think it's now where you have to do it faithfully.
No, they did, and then it became a product.
Yes, but you just pointed out in Guardians 3 that they were faithfully adapting a Spider-Man show that no one is even aware of. That is a level of... And or you can even take the Super Mario movie where, you know, there's a few liberties, but by and large, Mario acts like Mario in the games. Toad
he does.
Toad. So, like, there is, like, okay, we got to take this thing and actually make it the way it is. We're not going to take, like, Iron Man and put him in the Middle Ages because that's what's on brand at the moment. Like, you know, that kind of stuff, you know.
Actually, that exists. That's a comic.
Oh, yeah, Dr. Doom's in it, isn't he?
Yeah, it's great.
I forgot about that. God, everything happens in comics.
I told you.
I mean, like, Katie, from what we're having not seen the film, like, what do you have any, like, kind of weird questions about Guardians or anything like that? Or
no, I mean, you kind of, if you've seen Guardians, you kind of know what you're getting in for. So it's more just a case of I actually have to just sit down and watch it.
Yeah,
it's worth your time, Katie. And I'd say genuinely, like, yeah, look, the stuff with Rocket is very upsetting. But it's also very empowering for him as well, because it's like he hated being called a raccoon, and then he discovers he actually is a raccoon, and he's okay with it. You know, he's like, this is who I am. And then at the end of it, he saves the baby raccoons, and it's
spoilers.
There's no spoilers. It's such a sweet moment.
Yeah, no, it's fine. It's only a minor thing.
It really is.
Like... and actually, just before, because I'm not sure how much time we have left, the performances from all the Guardians are great. Like, I'm actually glad we brought up Super Mario, by which I mean you brought up Super Mario. Thanks for that. Because like Chris Pratt's performance in this is actually really good. Yeah. Like, I know we shouldn't be surprised by a leading actor in a big film, but like there are bits where it's like, oh God, someone make him a cup of tea. He looks miserable, like in a good way. And like, you know, like Nebula, like Karen Gillan is fantastic.
Oh, she's fantastic. She's actually steals the whole
villain
movie
anymore. She has to kind of adjust to the new dynamic.
Yeah.
Like Dave Bautista is still consistently good, even though he's wanted to like leave the series for ages.
Yeah.
Zoe Saldana is essentially playing a new Gamora.
She is, yeah. She's playing a horrible person, really.
Yeah. Like obviously kind of Groot is mostly animated, but they still find really creative ways to use him, which I appreciate. Like I suppose since we've put one minor spoiler, like doesn't he fly at one point?
Yeah. Like, well, he grows wings.
He hides guns in his roots and
very
like
cool.
all this kind of stuff. Like it's all like Cosmo the dog.
Oh, Cosmo the dog's
what
great.
A scene stealer.
Oh, absolutely. Look, as I said, there's a lot of good there. I mean, it's a shame that people don't understand how movies work. It really is. It's like you don't understand how right.
So when you say people, what do you mean?
I mean, dude, the amount of articles I've seen where all they talk about is the High Evolutionary. It's like,
Really?
yeah, he's supposed to be a bad guy. That's the whole point.
Oh, as a criticism of the film.
Yeah, you're not supposed to like him.
Okay.
You're not supposed to have like add him on Twitter and talk to him. And it's like, no, he is a bad guy.
Oh, they
That
haven't
is
gone like
the
after
point.
the actor or something, have they?
No, of course not. But I mean
Alright.
the actual
Well, look,
character.
I don't know. It happens.
It does, but of course, like look, that whole going after actors is ridiculous. Like,
Yeah.
Chris Pratt is not literally Star Lord. He's just dude. It's just the guy.
Yeah.
But yeah, well, Robert Downey Jr. actually probably is Iron Man. That's and Keanu Reeves is actually literally John Wick. So look, that they're the exceptions to the rule. But what I mean is like, it's funny that like we have so much media now, and we've had this superhero thing for so long that like when you actually get a villain, and again, it's weird. A lot of criticisms are like, "Oh, Marvel have some bad villains." It's like you were literally given one. You were given probably one of the worst, and I'd say he's worse than Thanos because Thanos was actually trying to,
But the reason that works is because of personal stakes.
Exactly.
Like if he was just doing like the first Ant-Man film had a guy who was doing experiments on sheep.
Yeah.
But Ant-Man wasn't someone who was personally affected by sheep. I think that personal connection is important. Like,
absolutely. And I mean, the thing about it is, it's like it's scale as well, right? Like, it really does kind of bring it home, and I think James Gunn is really good at that because he's a filmmaker. He understands how this whole thing has worked. So it is funny that like on one hand we have this great superhero. Not superhero, comic book movie, right?
Yeah.
And on the other hand, there's people like, oh, I don't like that. It made me feel things. It's like, it's supposed to. It's art. It's like, what do you want? Do you want She-Hulk again? They can give you more of that.
Hey, hang on.
Okay, I know. It was an easy target.
Oh, we won't Katie up.
Easy target. Easy target. I know. It's like, okay, do you want Miss Marvel again, or
Hey, sorry, Kev isn't here, but that would have been him.
I know. That's why I said it, because I knew no one would say anything.
You keep mentioning Disney Plus shows, like our random acquaintances are going to start turning up.
Yeah, just say, hey. I'm going to clip that and have it for the next panel. Rabble.
Bryn, could you be mildly irritated in a very non-verbal way for 30 seconds and we'll record it for future use?
But I mean, like that's the trade-off. If they start making movies again, like Ironmonger, in the first Iron Man, you're like, whoa, you're literally like your father figure just stabbed you in the back for
that's
no
a
reason.
personal connection.
It's a personal connection, and you're like, whoa, I really hate you, Jeff Bridges' character. And it's like we move so far away from that, where every time you get a good villain, Loki, he becomes like a good guy. Not supposed to be a good guy. Loki
Nebula becomes a good guy.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like, listen, you can't get that with the High Evolutionary. The man is like super evil. He really is. He does not care because he's so far removed. Because basically, I think there's a line in the movie where it's like some people consider him God. It's like, yeah, he just does not care. His end goal is to do this. With the result, he wipes out planets. Like it's nothing. Like you're hitting, you're dropping something into a recycle bin on your computer, and that's how he sees it. What's interesting about that is you're like, you can't do that. You're crazy. And it's just disheartening where you see people who are like, oh no, I don't like feelings.
But see, you're right though, because you can't have it both ways. You can't have it both ways. You can't really have this movie made me feel things and now I'm upset and so it's bad. But then you can't also complain, this movie feels factory produced and made me feel nothing. Exactly. And now I'm mad. It's one or the other. Exactly. I can do both on a good day. I can do both too. But you can't use both as reasons to say the Marvel train has crashed into a volcano,
Yeah, look, I'll be honest with you. The Marvel train has collapsed going along the what can I say that word? Factory. There we go. The factory production line that will die. And it's terrible because it's like, there's nothing here. This is just people in silly costumes doing silly things with lots of CGI. On the other hand, when you have an actual good piece of art, a good piece that makes you actually engage with it, that's what it's supposed to do.
And the film's gorgeous. Like, it's gorgeous. That sequence where they had to break into like a space station that's like a living orange squiddy thing.
That was very gross.
It was gross, but it looked tangible.
It did.
Unless so much of it's green screen, unless say obviously like Ant-Man, the whole appeal was that you went into this weird Jules Verne world. That's fine. Yeah. But I think like green screens have been around so long now that I don't think they trick anyone anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, certainly that's how I feel, and I'm not quite a critical viewer. So like even like they don't even do Marvel outtakes anymore, because when you watch Marvel outtakes, it's people like jumping on a blue bit, you know.
Like, yeah, look, the thing about it is, it's like I think people have finally. Look, the issue is people didn't read comics, right? And a lot of people don't, right? They just don't. That's fine. But I think now people have realized, oh, this is why comics aren't just the same thing over and over again. And when they are, they're bad. I mean, the Miss Marvel run is one of the worst things you'll ever read. I'm sorry, Kev. It is. Read it.
I like that run.
And also, Cian, it's not good. It's not.
I literally just read it 4 days ago.
I know, but it nearly tanked the company when it came out. But what I'm saying is,
1 minute warning, guys.
Okay, no, just.
Oh my goodness!
Okay. What I'm saying is,
I have to recommend that play off the air.
When
it's art by Yasmin Ray. Sorry, wrap up.
Okay, so when that came out, you know, it was trying to have its cake and eat it too, where it was like, all right, it's not a superhero movie, it's trying to tell a lot of story, and that's great. But so many people were detached from comics at that point because it was just terrible run after terrible run, regurgitating. There were no actual characters or stakes. And that's the problem. You know, I've said for a long time that there hasn't been a good Marvel book in years, and that's true because they do not tell stories. They try and shove stuff in, and everything else comes afterwards. DC didn't do that, and that's why when you go back and you read comics or graphic novels, it's Watchmen, it's V for Vendetta, it's the classic Batman runs, it's Spider-Man, it's all.
I actually am reading Watchmen at the moment.
Yeah, because Watchmen's unbelievable. You know, and they will stand the test of time because they have characters, motivations and stories, and it's art. It actually makes you feel something. When you read Watchmen, you're like, oh, Ozymandias, man, yeah, you're crazy, but I 100% agree with you because you are right. You know, that's a weird moral quandary because you're like, yeah, man, like how can you do? And it's supposed to ask questions compared to, oh yeah, okay, cool, so she has powers and she does that. Her family is a little bit not in the ordinary, but that's okay. You're like, right, you're not telling me a story, you're just being a set of descriptions. What does she do with those powers? Who does she fight? Why is she doing it? Who is she going for? How is this involving or making me feel something? Because it's not. And I do not buy the thing, oh, I have to be represented because listen, Rocket Raccoon is a raccoon. I felt more for that poor little thing than I did for anyone else in a long time. And I'm not a raccoon. So come on. I'm sorry. Good characters, good writing, good script, beautiful art will always win over anything else. Sorry, got over.
And on that note, we have to call time.
I'm sorry, Katie. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. I know. It's just if I let you guys go, you could talk for hours and hours and hours, and I understand
it's
that.
Not easy, this bus driving thing, is it?
It's really hard, particularly when I just grab the wheel.
Yeah, I'm just putting my foot down. So, Cian, anything to plug really quickly?
No, please carry on.
Dara, anything to plug really, really quickly?
Always. So obviously if you're listening, go over to nerdtoknowmedia.com, check out the shows, they're all there. You can book us for panels. We're going to try to do some panels relatively soon. I have been trying to figure out how to get light gun games working again because with TVs you can't really do it anymore. So I'm really after getting into solving that problem. So there is a new product that I might review next week, how to make that work, because I really want to play Time Crisis at home. So that's what I've been trying to do. Light gun games are a lost art, and it's because of our TVs. Our TVs used to be CRT TVs, now they're obviously plasma or LCD screens, so it doesn't really work that way. There's whole other things about it, but play light gun games and appreciate it when you go to an arcade because it's a dying art.
Well said.
Thank you. Love Time Crisis too.
Katie, you're driving the bus. You got to wrap this up.
I am driving the bus. Yes. So very quickly, follow us, Nerd to Know Media, Phoenix 92.5 FM, but also Spotify and Facebook, Instagram, all the good stuff. We're on all of those. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Bye.
Bye.
Join us next week. Bye-bye.
Yes, bye-bye.
All right, so you're listening to the podcast. You're like, hey, I'm not in Ireland. How do I get in touch? Well, TuneIn has you covered. That's how you can check us out live when we're on the radio. You go to tune in and download the app, or you can check out the live streams on nerdtoknowmedia.com or Phoenix 92.5 FM. If you want to get in contact with us, it's very easy. Nerd to Know Media everywhere. Nerd to Know Media on Twitter, Nerd to Know Media Instagram, Nerd to Know Media on Twitch, Nerd to Know Media at gmail.com if you want to reach out via email. Hope to hear from you soon. Check out the Wrestling Rewind here on Phoenix 92.5 FM every Tuesday at 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. And of course over on nerdtoknowmedia.com, the only wrestling podcast by wrestling fans who don't hate wrestling. We'll see you then.
Hey, Dara, what are you doing over there in Ireland? Like with the freaking leprechauns and everything. That's not cool. You should be over here with the cosplayers. At least then you could, like, I don't know, pretend like you got, I don't know, some kind of thing going on. Yeah, with you give me a Brooklyn Blaze. Yeah, with you. Dara. Yeah, Dara. Why ain't you over here with Joey? Anyway, we missed you, dude. So, it's Bill Karibo saying,
I love it. All I do is... Thank you for listening to a Nerd to Know Media production.